What if an AI could read the entire story of your life? You know, your health, your job, where you live, and then use all that to predict not just your personality, but the actual year you might die? It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? Well, a new model claims it can do exactly that. And today, we're going to break down how.
So let's just get the biggest, wildest question out on the table right away. Can an AI really predict when you'll die? I mean, it's a super provocative idea, almost taboo to even talk about, but it is at the absolute heart of this new technological frontier. And believe it or not, the answer, according to a team of researchers, is yes. A new AI model has been built that claims to do just that. So today we're going to unpack exactly how this thing works, what it could mean for the future of medicine, and yeah, the huge ethical dilemmas it kicks up.
All right, Section 1, an AI predicts your life. Let's meet the algorithm that kicked off this whole conversation. It's called Life2Vec. And get this, it's built on the same kind of transformer technology that powers tools we all know, like ChatGPT. But instead of learning from words and sentences, it learns from life events. One of the researchers put it perfectly. They said, the whole story of a human life can be thought of as a giant long sentence. That's such a powerful way to think about it, right? Just like the word queen gets its meaning from being near words like king or royalty, your health outcomes are defined by the sequence of events that came before. Life2Vec is designed to read that sentence and find the patterns.
So, to learn the language of human life, Life2Vec was trained on an absolutely incredible dataset. The researchers used detailed anonymous life histories from the Danish government, and they processed the data of 6 million people. That's the entire population of the country. Okay, moving on to Section 2, the science of genetic prediction. Now, Life2Vec makes its predictions based on the events in your life, but it's actually part of a much bigger field that wants to predict your future based on the biological blueprint you're born with, your DNA. And this field really revolves around something called polygenic scores, or PGS. You have to forget that old idea of a single gene for heart disease or a gene for cancer. Most common diseases are way more complicated. They're multifactorial. A polygenic score looks at hundreds, sometimes thousands, of tiny genetic variations and adds them all up to estimate your inherited risk. It's basically a measure of your genetic predisposition, which is then shaped by your DNA and your environment. And here is the absolute game changer. Unlike risk factors that you might develop over time, like high cholesterol, your polygenic score can be calculated from the day you're born. This ability to get a glimpse of your future health risks, maybe decades before any symptoms show up, is exactly what makes this technology so incredibly powerful and also so complicated. Which brings us to Section 3, the promise versus the peril. Because this tech represents a massive, massive opportunity to improve human health, but man, it also opens a Pandora's box of ethical problems. Let's break it down. On one side, you've got the incredible promise, what ethicists call beneficence. I mean, imagine knowing in your 20s that you have a high genetic risk for heart disease. You could change your lifestyle, maybe start preventative treatments, things that could literally save your life. But on the other side, you've got the peril. This gets into ideas of justice and autonomy. Could this information be used against you for things like insurance or getting a job? And what does it even do to a person psychologically to know they're at high risk for a disease they can't do anything about yet? Section 4, inside the black box. But maybe the trickiest problem of all isn't a social one, it's actually a technical one. It's about what's going on inside the AI's own, well, mind. You see, a lot of these powerful deep learning models are what we call a black box. They can analyze unbelievably complex patterns and make these stunningly accurate predictions. But because of how mathematically complex they are, we can't always know how they got to that conclusion. It's like they give you the right answer, but they can't show their work. And this quote right here just nails the dilemma. For a patient to give what's called informed consent, they need to understand the reasoning behind a medical recommendation. But if an AI suggests a certain treatment and the doctor literally can't explain why, is that consent truly informed? We're kind of stuck between getting potentially better health outcomes and a patient's fundamental right to understand what's happening to their body. So let's talk about Section 5, an unequal medical future. Because beyond the individual patient, there's an even bigger question about fairness for all of society. Could this technology, which is designed to help everyone, actually end up creating a new and even deeper form of inequality? The whole problem boils down to data,
an AI is only as smart and as unbiased as the information it learns from. And right now, our huge genomic databases have a massive blind spot. They are overwhelmingly Eurocentric. I mean, just look at this chart. The picture it paints is pretty stark. As you can see, the vast majority of the genetic data that's used to build these predictive models comes from people of European ancestry. This means the AI tools that result are fine-tuned for one group of people and are far less accurate for literally everyone else. And this leads to a pretty shocking conclusion. This is a direct quote from a major study in Nature Genetics. These models simply work better for white people. If we don't make a dramatic change, we are at risk of rolling out a new era of precision medicine that mostly serves one population and actually makes health disparities worse for everyone else. Which leads us to our last section, the path to responsible AI. Okay, so with all these challenges, the black box, the date bias, the consent dilemma, how do we even begin to find a solution? Well, the good news is the scientific community is already mapping out a path forward. It really boils down to 3 key actions. First, and this is the most urgent one, we have to massively increase the diversity in genetic research. We need data that actually reflects all of humanity. Second, we have to demonstrate real-world clinical utility. We need to prove these scores actually lead to better health, not just having more information. And third, we've got to develop clear, consistent standards for how these tools are built, tested, and explained to both doctors and patients. In the end, it all comes back to the human element. This quote from Tina Alasia-Rad, who was actually one of the creators of Life2Vec, just says it all. In this world of algorithms and big data, we can't ever forget that these aren't just data points or mathematical vectors. They're real people with real lives at stake. Which leaves us with one final and really crucial question to think about. AI is giving us this incredible power to predict our health, but who gives us the wisdom to use it? The technology is here, or it's coming fast, but the ethics, the fairness, the humanity, well, that's on all of us to figure out together.